Welcome back to Brews and Bets. My name's Steve Ricciardi. With me, as always, is Ty Slice. Ty, how we doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Just getting over being sick. I heard it's hitting over there with you guys also.
Yeah, I'm a little under the weather, but my wife and son are not doing great. So yeah, we'll get there though. We'll get there eventually. How do you like this card this week? It's UFC on ESPN +1, I believe is what we're calling it. Cejudo versus Dillashaw.
Well,
overall.
The Cejudo Dillashaw fight was supposed to be in LA, and I was going to go down to it. So I feel a little jealous that you guys took the card from us a little bit. But overall, I'm not too much of a fan of the card in general, top to bottom. There are some pretty good fights on there, but just not an overwhelming card for the first ESPN card.
Yeah, and again, for the most part, we're just going to talk about bets here. We don't have I don't think DraftKings prices have dropped yet, right? I was at basketball practice, so I don't even know.
I think they drop tomorrow.
Okay. So, yeah, they usually drop Tuesday, so I guess they'll drop Tuesday. It looks like we have the card has rounded out with the last fight rescheduled today. So it looks like we'll have a full card. We're more or less just going to do the main card, but we're going to start with the Donald Cerrone and Alexander Hernandez fight just because I really like the fight. But Ty, it's Donald Cerrone, 34-11. Everybody knows Donald Cerrone. Alexander Hernandez is 10-1. And just before we got on the air, I said it. I think I said it first, and you agreed with me. But you don't really have a good feel for the fight, and I said I don't really have a good feel for Alexander Hernandez. I feel like I got both of his last two fights wrong. I did pick Cerrone to beat Mike Perry, so I did like Cerrone at his price, but I think I liked him more at his price, especially on DraftKings. He was so cheap. But I'm interested to see what prices come out. But I really do like Alex Hernandez here. I think this is kind of the passing of the torch. And I think there's a couple things that we have to worry about with Donald Cerrone. Again, at his age, he's 35 years old, and he's dropping down from 170 to 155. I'm not saying he's not capable of it, but I just feel like this weight cut is going to be a little bit too much for Cerrone. I think he's biting off a little bit more than he can chew, especially against a guy like Alexander Hernandez, who just seems like he's so focused and motivated, and just brings that pace. So if you have a tough weight cut, or you maybe all that blood isn't back into your system, I think Alex Hernandez is the guy that can really. He's very confident. He can really take advantage of that. But what do you think about this last fight? And this is actually going to be the main event fight for the ESPN card. So it's for the prelims, but this is going to be on ESPN. So I think that's why they kept it there.
Yeah, I don't really know what to think of this fight. I kind of like the fact that Donald Cerrone is dropping back down to 155. I'm kind of interested to see how he is at weigh-ins, just to see how he handled the cut. I'm sure that he's a veteran. He's experienced with this. I'm sure that he's going to be just fine. But it's one of those things now with his added age. He hasn't been at this weight for a long time. And then on the other side with Alex Hernandez, I'm not really sure what to think of him. Like he's looked like a good fighter, but he doesn't stick out in my mind as an overwhelming type fighter. And for some reason, I could just see Cowboy kind of using his experience and picking him apart. And if Hernandez wants to take it to the ground, I think it's really easy to underestimate Cerrone. You've seen that in his last fight versus Perry. I think that Cerrone has a lot of paths to victory in this fight, and I think a lot of people are counting him out.
I'm surprised you're not so worried about the weight cut. I am worried about the weight cut.
I am, but he's so experienced, and he fought at that weight for a long time. He's used to cutting weight. How that's going to do with his body now that he's a little bit older, we'll see. And that's kind of why before I lay any money on this, I want to see how that weight cut goes. I want to see how he looks at the weigh-in. Yeah. I'm sure if you're going to some of the events for the week, you'll kind of get a feel for how his presence is. And I mean, on our Quant Edge podcast, I'm sure we'll kind of get into details on that later in the week. But I'm just not ruling him out like I've seen a lot of other people do.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. Some of the numbers on this fight. Cerrone's going to have a 4-inch height advantage. And for the most part, he really only loses to studs. You know what I mean? That's why he'll be around in the UFC forever, because he's the ultimate gatekeeper. You know, I'm sure he'll talk about maybe fighting for another title, and maybe he gets one within the next year or so. But you know, after that, 36, 37, trying to cut all this weight, I think you know, the title dreams have passed him by. But again, he's still a great fighter, and he's still a very effective fighter, as you can tell from the Mike Perry. I mean, he basically put a master class in BJJ on Mike Perry, is more or less what he did. So Alex Hernandez, you know, he was supposed to fight Francisco Trinaldi. His only losses to Jamal Emmers, I believe that was 2 or 3 years ago. Wrestling is where he got his start, and he has like a 3.82 takedown average. So I do like him to kind of grind out this fight. He did level Beneil Dariush in his debut. I just think that Hernandez is the kind of guy. He's 26 years old. He's hungry, and this is basically his entire life. You know, Donald Cerrone has a kid now, married, doing all these different things. I don't know, laying minus 190 on Hernandez. I'm fine with that. I actually do like the over. I kind of like over 1.5 rounds. I think Cerrone is going to try to, you know, I don't think that these guys are really finishers on the feet right now. I mean, they can get it done, but I think they're going to be a little touchy-feely on the feet. I think they're going to look to get some cage time here. So I wouldn't mind over 1.5 rounds. Ty, you like any bets here?
You know, I think right now I'm going to look into it a little bit more, but I'd be careful about the over on 1.5, just because if Hernandez takes it to the ground, I think that he could be sleeping on Cerrone's submission skills.
Okay.
I really just don't have a good read on it right now. I kind of want to wait a little bit longer into the week and rewatch some of Hernandez's fights, just to see if any holes in his game. Because I'm kind of leaning towards taking Cerrone, but I think that the odds are going to go up on him, and so again, I want to wait till later on in the week.
Yeah, and again, there's not much to see in the Beneil Dariush fight, so you maybe want to watch the OEM fight again. And again, you'll see OEM actually tried to lock in a couple submissions, and he actually did a good job of staying out of harm's way. So that would be a good fight to watch.
Well, and the kind of the read that I have on Hernandez right now is he uses his power a lot, and I don't know if he's going to have a significant power edge with Cerrone being the bigger guy and coming down in weight. And that's kind of why, if his weight cut goes good, why I kind of lean towards Cerrone, just because I don't think that Hernandez is going to have a huge power edge if that's the case.
Yeah, and again, I don't disagree. We know that Cerrone's a stud on the ground, but obviously the weight cut can be an issue. And again, I will be covering the events this week. I won't be at any of the events during the week, just with basketball and everything else that I have going on right now. I'm not going to get enough free time at work, but I will be at the event on Saturday night covering for MMA India. So, Ty, this next fight, Glover Teixeira and Carl Roberson, this fight just came together during the week. Teixeira hasn't fought in a while. He had a fight canceled in September with Jimmy Manuwa. He had this fight. He was supposed to, on this card, fight Ian Cutelaba. I'm a little surprised with the odds, to be honest with you. I thought Teixeira would be a bigger favorite. Carl Roberson is basically best friend. He's a local Jersey guy. He trains out of Jersey. He's from down in Neptune, New Jersey, not far from New York City, maybe an hour. He's a kickboxer. I think he can win a point fight here. For the most part, if it goes down to the ground, just from what we've seen, Roberson versus Cesar Ferreira, I'm a little concerned, especially since I think Glover is going to have a weight advantage on him. But Carl Roberson took this fight, and his best friend is Corey Anderson, who just beat Glover Teixeira. They trained together, so Anderson outworked Teixeira for 3 rounds, and I don't see Roberson trying to come in and do anything much different. You know what I mean? If he trains the kickboxing, I think he'll be fine on the feet. The feet is not what I'm concerned with. What I'm concerned with is he going to be able to get Teixeira down? Is Teixeira going to get him down? Is he going to get top position? And then is Roberson going to be able to get up? So those are my what ifs. If this is a striking fight, it could be a toss-up fight. But I can see this going to decision. I can see Roberson. He hit Jack Marshman with some big shots in that last fight. He outstruck him more or less for 3 rounds. and really couldn't knock him out. So I don't see him knocking out Teixeira. I know Marshman's tough. Teixeira's tough also. I could be wrong. Again, Teixeira's 39 years old. There's just a lot of what ifs here in terms of a stylistic matchup. But Ty, this is more or less a toss up. So who you looking at here?
So yeah, this fight when it first came together, I was really excited. I like this over the Kudalaba fight. I'm a big Carl Robinson fan, Roberson fan, and you know what I noticed is he's a 185er. He's been a 185er his whole UFC career, but he actually has 2 fights at 205. So that kind of eased my mind a little bit on siding with him. Both fights, one lasted 1 minute and 1 second. The other one lasted 15 seconds. And he also fought at a catch weight of 192, which I think that also was a stoppage victory. He's taken a huge step up, but I think this is something that he's going to be ready for. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he lands some shots and finishes Teixeira and bursts onto the scene. And I'm just interested if he's going to stay at 205 or drop back down to 185 after it. Because I think that Roberson's only real weakness is on the ground. I think that he's pretty much on par with Teixeira with his kickboxing. They're both good kickboxers, but I think that Roberson's going to have the speed edge.
So Roberson wins inside the distance plus 190. The other props for this aren't out. Do you like that plus 190, or you think Roberson KO TKO? You probably get a higher number on that if you want to wait for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for it. But if I put any action on this, it's just gonna be on Roberson. Right now, I don't feel that line is sitting very well. I kind of think that just on name value alone, Teixeira is gonna come in at a heavier favorite. So I'm gonna wait on the line personally, and then take Roberson a little bit closer towards fight time.
I do agree with you there. I think the line it's already moved towards Teixeira, because I think it would open that like minus 115, minus 105, or minus 110, something like that. So it's definitely moved in that direction. We'll move on to the next fight here, and we have Rachel Ostovic and Paige VanZant. I'll give Paige this. You know, the hype train was on Paige before that Michelle Waterson fight, and Michelle Waterson basically knocked her back down to earth. Paige is tough though. She didn't tap against Waterson. She basically let herself get choked out. Against Jessica Rose Clark, I believe it was in the first round where she had the spinning back fist and basically broke her forearm and fought the rest of the fight against Jessica Rose Clark. Actually, I thought she almost won the 3rd round with her kicking volume. Lots of kicks in that fight. But again, she took a year off for the Waterson fight. She took a year off for the Jessica Rose Clark fight. And then she's basically taken a year off to now. I mean, obviously she had to. She had an injury. And I think she had another surgery too, Ty, if you want to talk about that. But you know, with all that said, she's 0-1 at 125. I hear you chuckling in the background there. 0-1 at 125. I just don't know. I mean, I think she's tough. I just don't know if she's good enough to win fights. The other issue is Ostovic good enough to win fights, because she seems like a decent striker. I think she's going to be the better. I think VanZant will be the better kicker, but I think Ostovic will be the more powerful puncher in this equation. Ostovic was actually a high school wrestler, which I found out by watching some film. Who has the better sub attempts? Is this going to go to the ground? I think Paige may try to take it to the ground. Ostovic, I thought she quick tapped against Montana De La Rosa. I thought she could have fought it a little bit more, but I think she was also exhausted. So again, if this gets into the 3rd round, I kind of expect Paige to be able to win the 3rd round. I'm kind of thinking if Paige can get one of the first 2 rounds, she can win this fight. But Rachel, I think, is going to be throwing the heavier punches in rounds 1 and 2. So if it stays on the feet, I can see Rachel winning if it stays on the feet. So again, I think round 3, Paige has it if it gets there, but rounds 1 and 2 are kind of up for grabs. I don't know who's going to have more volume, but I think it's going to come down to a volume striking match. Ty, what do you think here? Did I say too much? Is this even worth talking about like this?
I hate this fight, but I think this is a one-sided fight. Paige is going to destroy her.
Okay.
The only way that Paige loses this fight is if Ostovic can get this fight to the ground and just control her. And I mean, I don't really see that happening. I don't think Ostovic is UFC caliber material. And I think this is kind of just a, even though they're marketing this as one of these girls is going to get propelled in the spotlight because they're on ESPN. I really think that this is set up for Paige. And I actually think that she's going to be the hungrier fighter because she just lost her Reebok contract. So she doesn't have that money coming in. She has to really get focused and get going. And I think that she's given kind of a cupcake matchup. She's going to be able to pick her apart on the feet. And, you know, and elephant in the room, Ostovic just got in the domestic dispute and supposedly broke her orbital bone, what, a month and a half ago?
Yeah, and she was actually going to not fight and then wound up taking this fight, so.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I totally sympathize with her, but I don't think that she should have took this fight if it was as severe as she claims, or as, you know, as it was. Because, you know, our buddy Josh Emmett, he broke his orbital bone in the Stevens fight, and he's been out almost a complete year. And just recently got cleared to sparring. So for one, I don't know how she got cleared to fight if she did have the broken orbital. And for two, how's she going to react when she gets hit in that spot? Because Paige does throw a decent volume. She is going to hit her. And it's how she's going to react if that bone is completely healed, which it could be. But in a fight where I lean towards Paige anyway, you can't really ignore that when you're going to put your money down. And I think that this fight is just set up for Paige to win.
Well, I'll tell you what, you bring up some good narrative there. I didn't even consider that, but yeah, with the broken orbital bone part of it, not the other part of it, but you know, with that injury and possibly pulling out, and then she wanted to. Basically, her comment, if I get it right, is she wanted to stay in the fight. She wanted to prove it to any domestic violence victims, you know, that, you know, she's stronger than this and everything else. And then there was the whole controversy with her being on the same card as Greg Hardy, with what he's gone through and what he's, you know, done. So yeah, I mean, there are plenty of distractions here for her and a possible injury. By the same token, again, Paige just hasn't won fights. Her last two fights, she hasn't won, but.
Yeah. Granted, it could motivate Ostovic. Yeah, I mean, it totally could. The narrative's there. I mean, she could rally around this and get to a new level that she hasn't even reached yet before. But I see that there's so many possibilities for negatives, and I believe that Paige is the better technical fighter. And outside of her getting taken down and getting controlled, I just see Paige picking her apart. I'm actually going to probably bet this fight pretty heavily.
Okay, that's good to know. I like when you're heavily on somebody like this.
Yeah, I don't think that she's necessarily going to finish, but I'm just going to bet her straight.
Right, you just think she's going to win?
Yeah.
And again, I saw Ostovic basically give up in round 3. So for the most part, I think Paige has round 3 in the bag. If she can win one of the first 2, I think she's got this fight done. I don't know. I'm not overly impressed with Paige. That's the thing that worries me with her. Although she's been in the ring with some pretty good girls, so
yeah, it's definitely a step down in competition for her.
Yeah. So this next fight, I hate to say it because I really do like Dustin Ortiz as a fighter, but I think Benavidez is very motivated. I think he got the rust off against Sergio Pettis, although. I don't know if you rewatched the Alex Perez fight. I was actually all over Alex Perez in that fight versus Benavidez. So I was very impressed with Benavidez. I'm not sure what hit him in that fight. It looked like, and when I rewatched the fight, it looked like Benavidez caught Alex Perez coming in with his chin to his head. It looks like that's why Perez went down the first time. I don't think it was a punch. I think he came in and caught his chin. It just hit at the right spot. And then Benavidez, not for nothing. How many times did he punch Alex Perez in the back of the head? I'm pretty sure that he had to have 4 or 5 illegal punches. But Ty, what do you think here?
Yeah, I kind of don't want to waste too much time talking about this. I'm not excited about this fight. Benavidez is going to win a decision. I wish he would change his hair color. That blonde color just irritates me. Not blonde in general, just on him, it just doesn't look right. But he's going to win a decision.
All right, and I don't disagree. I think he's gonna do the same thing. I had a problem watching tape and watching the punches he hit Alex Perez with. Probably just because I was all over Alex Perez, but whatever.
Yeah, we both lost a lot of money.
Yeah. Gregor Gillespie and Yancy Medeiros. This is another fight that I was kind of surprised with the odds. Then to hear that they're fighting at 155 and Medeiros is dropping down from 170, I'm kind of shocked at the odds. I mean, you have a guy who defends 83% of takedowns. And again, we talked off air. It's tough to navigate the UFC website at this point because when I saw Yancy Medeiros defends 83% of takedowns, I wanted to see who was trying to take him down and who actually got the takedowns. And that's, it was tough for me to find that information out because Gregor Gillespie averages 7 takedowns a fight. And he is the ultimate rinse and repeat kind of guy. He's a D1 national champion. And a relentless wrestler, great college wrestler.
Let me cut you off real quick because I actually have it. I actually have it here. Maybe it'll change your mind one way or another. So Alex Oliveira took him down twice. Francisco Trinaldo took him down twice. Poirier took him down once, and Rustam Khabilov took him down once.
And where did you get that, Ty? Just because
I got it on Fight Metric.
Fight Metric. All right, so I could maybe go over there to get some more information. And again, I think Dustin Poirier just needed to take him down once and finish him. So I don't think there was much more than needed to be done there.
Same with Khabilov.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I guess Gregor is going to just do his normal thing and rinse and repeat wrestle. And again, I think Medeiros is tough enough to try to get up. And that just means that you're going to get a little sneak preview DraftKings play here, but for the most part, Gillespie is a beast on DraftKings when he secures that many takedowns, rinse and repeat, and keeps his striking up. So I love Gillespie, but at minus 525, I mean, I can't play that. It's not even worth parlaying it. It's not even worth risking it in a parlay. So, Ty, any bets here? What do you think?
Well, but before I get into the bets, so those 4 fights that I mentioned that he got taken down in, he lost 3 of them. And the other one versus Alex Oliveira, he was losing and then came back and knocked Oliveira out in the 3rd round.
Yeah, so anybody who watches that fight knows he basically lost that fight. He got very lucky for that result.
Yeah, and so pretty much it seems like any fight he gets taken down in, he loses. And Gillespie is going to get him down. I know he has the 83% takedown defense, but I mean, you face Sean Spencer, Eric Silva, John McDessie. Those guys are not wrestlers. They're not going to really take you down. And so the 83% doesn't really take me off Gillespie. I think that this should be pretty much a lock that Gillespie should win. I don't really like the line at what it is. I mean, I could see Gillespie winning a decision and just grinding it out at plus 250. That's really the only thing that I like, and I'm not even really confident on that. But I'll put Gillespie in some parlays, and yeah.
And again, I love Gillespie from a DraftKings perspective. So again, Ty Slice and I are the DFS experts, MMA experts for the Quant Edge. If anybody wants to sign up, you can check either my page at SHP Pirate 12 or Ty Slice's page on Twitter at Ty Slice 23. Ty, is that right?
Yeah.
And either one of us, you can use our promo code. Brews is one of our promo codes, or UFC. You can actually try both of them, see which one gets you the bigger discount. If you want to try it for 1 week, there's a 1 week. You can only do it once though, but there's a 1 week trial where you can do it for $5. And if you want to do the season, which I recommend because again, start of the new year, probably got some money for the holidays, and you want to watch all these UFC cards. So just buy it for the season, right, Ty?
Yeah, for what I've been hearing, their basketball has been killing it over there.
Yeah, they have. And again, you can do just the UFC package, or you can do basically any package. You know what I mean? You can get the football, They have a betting package. You can get the football package. You can get NBA. So you can basically get carte blanche of the entire site if you want for the year or for the month. I mean, it's completely up to you what you want to do. Anybody has any troubles, just hit us up on Twitter and we can talk to Elliot, who basically runs the site, and we can get you all set up. But let's use that to get into our next fight, Greg Hardy versus Alan Crowder. And Ty actually hit me up yesterday and said, who do you really like here? I said, Greg Hardy by murder. It was my exact if there was a line on that, that's what it would be. And again, I went back and I watched Crowder versus Mays and versus Justin Willis. I watched both fights. Versus Mays, that was just a terrible fight. I mean, if Crowder basically doesn't even hurt, he struggled to finish Mays, and Mays was done. He was completely gassed. I have no idea how he didn't finish that guy. He's a former college football player. He had a meniscus tear, so that's why he was out for a year, I should say. But he's going to weigh in at about 240. And you got a guy in Greg Hardy who's going to weigh in at about 260. I'm pretty sure it's 260, 260. And the guy is huge, athletic, fast. I mean, he's got Crowder everywhere. He's got him with speed. He's got him with everything. Now, even this ground game, Greg Hardy, I'm not saying he's got a great ground game. He's a ground and pound guy. He's not a BJJ guy. But is Crowder really going to go to the ground? I watched listened to his James Lynch interview. He didn't even go to his normal training camp. He's training at home. He had a brand new baby girl in September, so he's got a baby at home. He opened the martial arts studio with his dad, so he's real busy doing that. And in his training, he's doing a lot of boxing. So what is he going to do? He's going to knock out Greg Hardy? He hasn't come anywhere close to knocking out Mays or Willis. He was actually training to go down to light heavyweight and then got this call for the heavyweight fight and thought, it's too tough to cut weight, so I'll just stay at heavyweight. But again, he's an undersized heavyweight. He's going to come in at 235, maybe 240. Greg Hardy, not for nothing, but under 1.5 rounds. I mean, as much money as I can possibly afford to lose just in case it doesn't turn out, under 1.5 rounds I think is a lock. Greg Hardy is going to bring the heat. Every single fight, he's basically brought the heat early. He gets on you, and once he starts throwing punches, he doesn't stop until you go down. And not for nothing, but if you saw his face, what was the guy's name? Rasheem Jones. If he knocked him out with hammer fist, if you see the face, the stone cold killer look that he looks at his opponent with, like Crowder thinks that he's going to gas and he's going to finish Hardy in the second round. I don't think it gets out of the first 4 minutes, the first 3 or 4 minutes of this fight. And if you told me, Hardy at the 2-minute mark and you give me even money, I mean, I'd take that at this point, because Hardy is going to come in and Crowder is going to have to throw punches, and he's never done that before with the velocity and volume that Hardy is going to hit him with. So that's my breakdown. I will take Hardy round 1 minus 190. Hardy by KO is minus 330, although I like the round 1 better. Under 1.5 rounds, I think is better than Hardy by KO, minus 300. You can take any of those. Ty, what do you think here?
Yeah, so I think we're both in agreement that Hardy's just going to come out and just walk right through him. This is pretty much just a showcase fight for Hardy. But the other day when we were talking, you said that you took Hardy wins in round 1. So I think you got minus 190 on odds on there. Right now, the odds are minus 230. So they've actually went up. Mm-hmm. But if you look on their fight won't start round 2 is minus 225. So right now, if you take this very moment, just take fight won't start round 2. That way you're getting action on both Hardy and Crowder. We expect Hardy to win, but you're getting better odds on that. You might as well cover yourself, because realistically, this fight should be over in the first round, one way or another. Yeah. Either Hardy's going to come out and blast him, or he's going to mess up and get caught.
And if he gets caught, honestly, I think Crowder may have 1 or 2 punches. Crowder has 1 or 2 right hands. If he can sneak a right hand through, he can definitely hit Hardy.
Well, and the only reason I say that is because Hardy hasn't really been tested. He hasn't really been hit. And so if Crowder could sneak one in and catch him, for right around the same odds, you might as well cover yourself and get the same exact play plus extra at the same exact odds.
Ty, don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing him to Francis Ngannou, but the way that Greg Hardy walks into the ring, he is so physically imposing, and his speed with his hands and his feet, I mean, it's really impressive. I don't know how good he's gonna be, but up to this point, like we keep hearing all these guys that are heavyweights that are supposed to be, you know, these knockout artists and real good fighters. And I just keep looking at these guys and I'm like, listen, Greg Hardy's better than them. He's got the speed, he's got the tenacity, and not for nothing, but there's a look in his eye where you know, some people, they get, you know, you grow up and you get hit in the street, you get punched in the face or something like that, and you just lose it. Like, he will kill somebody if there's not a referee in the ring to pull him off of his opponent. That's what I think of when I see Greg Hardy. So don't get me wrong. I'm not going to pass judgment on what happened, but I can see if he snapped that he could totally just go off the deep end and do something that obviously he was going to regret, because he has that personality.
Yeah, I definitely see that also. But one thing I noticed about him in his other fights, he has really bad footwork. He has really bad footwork, and I mean, you could just tell by the way that he doesn't have confidence in his ground game. He's looking to just knock somebody out, get on top, and just pummel you. If he faces, he's not going to do it in this fight. This fight is kind of a soft matchup for him, but eventually when he moves up the ranks, when he fights somebody that's technical and striking, they're gonna be able to stick and move, and he's not gonna be able to do much about it. He's athletic with a big punch, but his footwork is really lacking, and his takedown, we don't know how his takedown defense is. I suspect that it's terrible, and his ground game I don't think is terrible. I mean, I think that it is terrible because he hasn't been training that his whole life.
No, he's only been training for like a year and a half.
Yeah, and so you can't learn jiu-jitsu, you can't learn wrestling in a year and a half. You can only learn so much to be decent at it, but high-level guys are just going to walk right through you. And I don't think this is the fight he's going to get tested in, but they need to move him up slowly, because once he gets to that top rank, like if he fought Cormier, like somebody like Cormier, Cormier is just going to take him down, and 100%. It's not even going to be a fight.
Yeah.
So they really need to move him up slowly, because they have a superstar on their hands. Even though he comes in with negative press and negative stigma, he has potential to be an exciting superstar. It's just how they're going to move him up. And this isn't the fight that he's going to get tested. He's just going to blast right through.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. He will get tested at some point, and he does have deficiencies in his game. But this is not the fight where it's going to be exploited. I just don't see that happening. So now we have our not a heavyweight championship, our 125-pound championship. I'm thinking heavyweight here. Threw me off. So this is TJ Dillashaw -110 and Henry Cejudo at +175. Ty, I just don't see it any other way than TJ Dillashaw being able to use his movement to outstrike Cejudo. And again, Cejudo had the luxury of beating DJ barely, if you even want to say that he beat DJ, but he was the bigger guy. So you're talking about a guy in Dillashaw who's going to be bigger than Cejudo and probably moves better than DJ with that much power. I don't see Cejudo lasting. I think TJ is going to get him out of there. Now, again, the one issue that there is with this fight is Dillashaw is making a big weight cut, and a lot of people are concerned about the weight. There's a lot of things going around on Twitter, how he's going to look, but not for nothing, Cejudo, with his big head, has a tough time making weight also. You know what I mean? We were all worried he had to redo his diet and all this other stuff for the DJ fight, and he got down. And not for nothing, but I rewatched it. I do my tape study. I rewatched the fight. I didn't realize how bad that leg was hurt in the first round. Like, I'm shocked that DJ didn't jump on Cejudo Go after that leg, harder with his kicks. Maybe try to get a takedown of his own. Do something. But Cejudo was really hurt for a good minute in that fight in the first round. Couldn't even get his something with his nerves or something, because his foot kind of just, like in basketball, you roll your ankle. His foot kind of just kept rolling over itself. So that's kind of what I see here. I see TJ Dillashaw, and I think he's going to be able to finish this fight. As long as the weight cut goes okay, I think he's going to be able to finish this fight. I just really hope that this fight goes off with no issues. And, Benavidez is on this card for a reason, to fill in if one of these guys, fall off it. But, Ty, what do you think here?
Yeah, so when that news came out, or when the picture came out of TJ looking really sucked in, I thought that it was going to affect the odds. I thought there was going to be a major swing in odds, just because of public perception. But it's actually done the opposite of it. Dillashaw has moved from a 198 favorite to a 210 favorite. Earlier off the air, we talked about Dillashaw's takedown defense, and he's only been taken down in 2 fights ever. And it was the Dominic Cruz fight. He got taken down 4 times. And the Lineker fight that he's gotten taken down once. And that's according to Fight Metric. He has an 86% takedown defense. And what kind of surprised me is when I looked at Cejudo's stats, he only is successful on 35% of his takedowns, which for an Olympic caliber wrestler, that kind of threw me off, because for some reason I had a perception that Cejudo was just a master at takedowns. And the numbers really don't indicate that. So if Cejudo can't get the takedown, which I suspect that he's gonna have some trouble with TJ getting the takedown, TJ's gonna stay on the outside and just pick him apart. And I really think this is gonna be an easy fight. But then again, I thought the Cejudo versus Mighty Mouse fight was gonna be an easy fight,
But Ty, I think it should have been an easy fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I was actually at that fight card. That's the night that Cody lost to TJ also. So it was just a depressing night all around for me. But I think that it was just a weird night that, I don't know. I had a good time, but it could have been better.
Yeah, but you know what? I think, like, the one thing that I say, let's just say that Cejudo does get a takedown or two. Mighty Mouse got up, and TJ Dillashaw is every bit as good, if not better, than Mighty Mouse. So TJ Dillashaw is going to get up. He's not going to hold him down like he did to Sergio Pettis.
Well, I think he's stronger than Mighty Mouse. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I agree. That's 100% why I say it. So again, now it gets back to the feet, where Dillashaw has a huge advantage, not only with the speed, but also with the power. He's basically Mighty Mouse with more power and actually probably more movement. The way that TJ moves, I mean, you want to watch 2 guys move in a very awkward way where you just don't know where the punches are coming? Watch TJ Dillashaw against Dominic Cruz. You'll see it happen. They're moving, they're taking their angles, they're striking, and that strike from a weird angle kind of stuns guys, and then you're able to kind of come in with another combination. Or TJ has that high kick, and not for nothing, but he almost leveled Cody with that high kick in the first fight. And for the most part, Henry Cejudo, he's got a big head. He's got a big head that you can kick. I would not be surprised if this fight ends. I think I'm going to probably play Dillashaw by KO, TKO, under 4.5 rounds. I think Dillashaw is going to finish this fight. I'm kind of surprised at the odds. I do not think Cejudo is going to be able to last. Now, again, my only concern is the weigh-in. So I won't make any of these bets until after the weigh-in. I want to see these guys. I want to see them Friday night specifically. I want to see them at the ceremonial weigh-in, see how they look then. But I just don't see – I see Dillashaw just winning this fight easy.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page with that. I don't know if he's going to finish it, but I think that TJ has the clear advantage.
All right, so Ty, I guess I'll let you go so you can get back to your Southern California ways here. You're all
Northern California.
Northern California ways here. I got to get something to eat. I had basketball practice, and I'm kind of starving at this point. My weight loss is not going good. Ty and I are doing a little weight loss challenge, and I got some people sick in the house, so I kind of had to switch off of my keto diet, and I'm eating Cheez-Its as we do this. But Ty, anything else that they should know? The Quant Edge, sign up for the DFS stuff. We'll probably do that podcast Wednesday night. That's behind the paywall, though.
Yeah. It's, we're gonna have more in depth. We're gonna break down the whole card from a DraftKings perspective, and if we see anything in bets that we like later on in the week, we'll let you guys know there too. So definitely check us out. Use the code Brews when you sign up. Hit us up on Twitter.
And again, if you do sign up, Ty gives you his best bet of the week. Usually it's something we talk about. We kind of agree on. We have been agreeing on most of your best bets. I think we've agreed on.
Yeah.
The other thing, where do you stand with the optimizer at this point? I know you and Elliot have talked about the optimizer. Are you still pursuing it?
Yeah, I've been talking to Elliot. I want to implement that in our projection system, but I think Elliot has to work out the logistics of it. That's pretty much on them how they're going to do it. So right now, I haven't heard anything yet, but yeah. So
all right. So I guess the last thing, Eat Clean Bro is my personal sponsor. They hook us up with some stuff. Ty, I think I sent you some stuff out from Eat Clean Bro.
Yeah.
And again, you want to just talk about Fantasy Factor, what they have going on. Fantasy Factor has been very good to us with some of the offerings and the contests. I know Ty's been playing a lot. It's actually not available in Jersey, which kind of sucks. Ty kept getting on me for trying to sign up, and I'm like, yo, I can't. You know, I created an account and I can't put money into it. So I don't know what to tell you. It's not like I'm BSing here. And then I wind up finding out that they're not available in Jersey. I think there's a big licensing fee in Jersey, so that's what the licensing fee is what kept them out. But Ty, what does Fantasy Factor have?
Well, I think the licensing fee came with the implementation of sports gambling. Yeah, I think they charge more now. But on Fantasy Factor, come check it out over there. Use our link to sign up. It's really soft competition. I know you guys play on DraftKings. Some of you guys play on FanDuel. On Fantasy Factor, I've been finding that I can cash 6 nights a week on basketball, 5 nights a week on hockey, and I don't know shit about hockey. And I'm just doing some research and pretty much just making some teams and winning some money. And if you guys do sign up and need some help with lineups or whatever, just hit me up on Twitter at TySlice23. I'm willing to shoot over some info for you.
Yeah, and those smaller DFS sites are fun, especially for people getting their start. There's a lot of sharks in the pool at FanDuel and DraftKings. I actually got my start working for GoDraft, which is a company that when the Attorney General in New York basically almost stopped DFS in its tracks a few years ago, a lot of the smaller companies went out of business, and it's nice to see Fantasy Factor back. So definitely come in. Hopefully they can get the jersey if that goes on. So again, the Quant Edge, big card this weekend, the first one on ESPN for Ty Slice and Steve Ricciardi. We're signing off. Brews and Bets.